So hello and welcome back to the demo room here in Kista, the virtual demo room we have here in Kista in Stockholm. Today it will be me and it will be Jimmy, who is my co-driver, the technical expert who will help me with everything when it comes to the demonstration later on here in the demos. The session today is about recording devices and recording solutions. I would say that we as Bosch have a portfolio of recording solution that covers all the needs you have in the market today. Regardless if it's a camera with just one SD card or if it's the biggest solution out in an enterprise environment, we have something you can use. Either if it's a full-blown 100% Bosch delivery or if it's something you have combined with third-party manufacturers. When we go into the different devices we start with the Divar hybrid and the Divar networks. Really easy to set up and really simple to use. We also put a lot of emphasis on the SD cards we have, and I will cover those ones in a few slides coming up. The Divar IP all-in-one 5000 and 7000 are the high runners when it comes to embedded solutions for recording. And then we also have the storage devices from NetApp that we use in big projects together with other brands as well. But these ones are specially developed together with a special Bosch firmware in the NetApps that makes them specified to use with Bosch cameras. But you can also use a third-party manufacturer from other storage manufacturers. That is what we will cover today. There will be dedicated webinars about the Divar hybrid and Divar network and also about the Divar IPs all-in-ones. So this is a general topic today. There will be a few slides that is quite detailed and a little bit on the technical point of view, but I hope they will give you some understanding of what we do with the technology in the background as well. So let's start with the smallest family member, the SD card. Yeah, SD card has been considered to be quite a challenge when it comes to use in surveillance cameras, but I would say today we have a good and reliable solution using SD cards. Today we're using, in the most cases, industrial graded SD cards. Why? Yeah, first of all, they have a much longer expected lifetime. We have the Sony cards in our portfolio and we have 3 years warranty of these ones, and we have calculations that shows that their life is much longer than that one. We can also have communication between the SD card and the firmware in the camera about several different things. So we can set alarm thresholds if we see that there is something in the SD cards that becomes a little bit fuzzy. The camera will also have several different types of redundancy of how it's using the SD card, depending if it's both reading and writing or if it's only reading and not writing, depending on the health status of the SD card. These SD cards are fully supporting iSCSI, and iSCSI will be one of the topics today that I will cover, because that is how we do the recording in the firmware in the camera together with the SD card and together with iSCSI-based recording devices and our Video Recording Manager that we call for VRM. The SD cards are also used for acting as a buffer. If we set up a recording solution with a iSCSI device as a central recording, we can use the SD card as a buffer. And if we have some malfunction in the network or if we have some malfunction in the central iSCSI storage device, we will have some nice ways of giving you a better redundancy of those ones. So that will be also explained in the upcoming slides. What do? When we are recording the material in the SD card, or when we're using either the Divar IP all-in-ones or a recording solution from any of these third-party developers, we're using a fully based iSCSI recording solution. It's based on TCP. The recording goes from the camera directly to the recording device without being pushed through any servers. So it's directly from the camera to the recording device. No servers in between. It's using TCP. And in the implementation we are doing this, it is actually giving us the ability to cope with network issues for seconds and not losing a single frame, because the technology in the camera in combination with the TCP implementation gives us the possibility to make sure that we're checking that every package in the stream goes from the camera to the recording device. And if we have an issue and it's not received correctly, we will buffer that in the solution. So that brings us several seconds of possible network interference, and we will still not lose a single frame. So everything in this point of view is going in an iSCSI format. That also means that we can use the standard Windows iSCSI targets. So that's also a possibility. Any kind of standard Windows iSCSI storage can be used. Also gives us a better possibility if you would like to use a third-party solution. But really the crucial thing, and how we see it, is that we are making use of an industrial standard to do this recording in a redundant and resilient way. To increase redundancy even more, we have this thing we call automated network replenishment. And I will show you a few different scenarios. What we do is that we can use the SD card as a buffer in the local device to buffer the information, even if the normal recording device is the central recording device. So we just put in a small SD card to make sure that in an ideal situation nothing happens. It's just stored there for a short while and it's going into the central media. You will not see anything. It's completely transparent and automatic. What might happen is that we have a failure in the system. Either it could be a network failure or it's some kind of failure in the storage device. Automatically, what will happen is that the camera sends this in the firmware. It sees that the packages is not received by the storage device, so it's immediately making a timestamp saying from this point in time the recording is not reached its destination. So what would it do? It will keep track of that time and make sure the information in the SD card is packaged and said from this point of time I would like to have this one when it's ready to be forwarded to my central recording device. So what will happen is that as soon as the network is back again or somebody has fixed the recording device, the block that we have been creating, the package of recordings that is now in the SD card will be flushed through the network to the recording device. It will be patched into that gap of the recordings on an exact frame. So you will not even miss a frame. And the local footage is then being transformed to the central media without anybody actually understanding that there has been a network issue unless you have created an alarm. So the idle status is back and the system is up and running. That is one possibility with a A&R solution. What also can happen is that this, we talked about the SD cards. The recording media, the SD card, it cannot write data anymore, but it can still read. So what it will happen is that it will say, oh boy, I have an issue. I cannot write anymore. I can still read it, so I will push the data I have and put it into my central recording device. At this point, I have no local buffering, but I still have the recording on my central media. Previously, I had it both on the SD card and on the central media. Now I only have it on the central media. And when it's fixed, the camera will understand it's already back again, right and reading. And now when I have replaced it, it's back again into my normal redundancy mode. That is something that might happen. And option number 3, the SD card is dead. Not a good situation, but it can happen. So what it will do then is that the information is completely going away from the SD card. It's going directly to the central media. So everything will be flushed and be sent directly from the camera to the central iSCSI media. So those are a few of the A&R scenarios. We have a few cameras with us here today that we would like to use for demonstrating this solution. So over here on the table we have 2 cameras, both recording on SD cards and on local iSCSI devices, and some also on central iSCSI devices. These ones will be demonstrated how it looks like when we're removing the network and if we have a failure in the system. And hopefully in the recordings you will not see anything. You will just see that the information is still there, because that's the aim with this solution. If you would like to take it to the next level, if you would like to deploy a really professional solution of the recording, we have something for you. we have what we call the Video Recording Manager. And this is not just another NVR solution. This is the add-on where you really go into the extent when it comes to redundancy. And also, if you would like to do load balancing of your video stream, this is the solution for you. It makes use of the TCP-based iSCSI recording we have. It's fully compliant also with the Windows iSCSI target. So if you would like to use a third-party solution that is not Bosch, it's fine as well. And this one works in addition with the A&R. It's something you add to make it even more redundant and resilient. This Video Recording Manager, it's a software. It runs on a server or on a PC, but no video goes through this one. This is the controller, the manager of the video streams, but it doesn't do anything with the video streams itself. It's just controlling where it's going from and where it's ending. We also have different types of redundant solution within this concept. Those ones I will not mention today. Those ones will be mentioned by Jimmy and me in a dedicated webinar that is part of BVMS. But this one, I would like to show you this illustration. First of all, on the top, you see a standard type of NVR solution. We have had this one for many years, and we know how it works. You have a camera, it streams over the network into the NVR server, and then you have attached storage devices, and it's just one-to-one. Simple as that. It has some challenges. If you have something that happens, if you have a single point of failure, it's a bit of a challenge. But what you also have is that you have some differences when it comes to how the information is treated when it's moving over the network, and if you need to do load balancing as well. In our concept, this traffic cop, this manager, it's telling the camera where it should record and store its different blocks. The information is going directly from the camera to the places the VRM, the Video Recording Manager, knows has some free space. So you can divide this. If you have 15 of these ones, if you need to put them in places and localizations where they make sense in an infrastructure, you can do this. This is a virtual way of storing your data into specific points. So the data from that camera goes, and perhaps it puts something there and something there and something there, and you can load balancing everything into detail if you would like to do this. So this traffic cop really gives you the ability to create the recording solution that is tailored for your customers' needs. You can be highly redundant, you can be highly secured, and you can also, in a perspective where you need to find specific places where you would like to have specific recordings, and also to do this mirrored, you have a very good solution to do this. So it's not just another NVR solution, it's complete recording concept. But this will be covered in a later session, as I mentioned. So why did I mention all these things about the SD cards, the direct iSCSI, the VRM recording? Yeah, you will understand in 2 slides. So first of all, a little bit about the products we have, recording devices. We have the Divar networks and the Divar hybrids. I will mention them soon. But first, I would like to tell you what is happening with our Divar IP. 3000 and 5000 is now being end of life, and instead we have the Divar IP all-in-one 5000. Remember, all-in-one. Same thing goes with the 6000 and 7000. They will become the Divar IP all-in-one 7000. If we go into more details of these ones, I will not go into all these different bullet points. You can read them yourself. But what is really interesting is that as soon as we call it all-in-one, these products, you can use them in different modes. You can use them in just iSCSI. You can use them as VRM, the Video Recording Manager, or you can use them as a fully blown BVMS solution with everything embedded. When you order and have a Divar IP delivered, you will have everything of this installed and running. You will have BVMS licensed. You will have the Video Recording Manager. You can use third-party hard drives and cameras by using OnVIF Profile S cameras. If you use the Divar IPs, you will have the full metadata storage. That's the difference between the Divar network and hybrid that I will explain later. But in the Divar IP all-in-ones, you have the fully blown analytics recording. You also have a wizard that makes it really nice and simple to install. And you have something we call dynamic transcoding embedded as well. Multi-domain integrations, you can use intrusion panels and access control devices in them as well. And we really focused on making them into an all-in-one unit. So that is why we have gathered them together into these two family members. Starting with the 5000. It's a very nice, neat little box with up to 42 channels. You can have 8 channels pre-licensed. You can have the option of 4 different displays if you use the GPU module. It's running Windows Server, it has built-in dynamic transcoding, and it has the full feature set of everything you know in BVMS, in iSCSI, in the Video Recording Manager, in the Video Analytics. It's all there. Very nice box at a nice price as well. If you need higher camera counts, if you need more throughputs and a little bit more redundancy in the hardware, you can go to the all-in-one 7000. We have it as in 2 units height and in 3 units height. These units are for up to 256 channels. So you can really go you can really make big systems with this one. Up to 256 channels. It's really sufficient for the most of the solutions where you don't have special demands of the recording solution. So the Divar IP all-in-one recording family, it has it all. Starting from camera features, iSCSI recording, metadata, and also all the additional features I've been telling you about earlier today. We are also having a few, I shouldn't say simpler, but a few more easy to deploy solutions we call Divar Hybrid and Divar Network. These ones they have one big difference. I should mention that one. They are not recording iSCSI format data. So they will not be able to do the metadata search as we do in the Divar IP all-in-ones. They will not have the redundancy possibilities when it comes to ANR and to VRM, the Video Recording Manager. And I would like you to know that because it's a bit of a simpler setup, because in the full-blown Divar IP all-in-ones, you can do everything. It's pretty simple to set up and easy, but in the Divar Hybrid and the Divar Networks, it's even easier. It's also perfect fit if you have a customer who likes the possibility to use a unit and to be able to push the buttons on the unit itself, or just to use a mouse and a keyboard. All these units have some specific limitations and things when it comes to the channel count, but what we really see is these units, for example, the Divar Network. The Divar Network with built-in power over Ethernet switch is really a unit we sell a lot of, and customers really like it. Simple to use, simple to install, and you also reach the most common settings in the Bosch cameras with just a few clicks. So it's extremely simple and quick to set up. This one will also have a dedicated webinar, so no more details about this one. Just the closing picture of the network and hybrids. The idea is to make you have a look and feel that they are simple to use, simple to install, and has a simple user interface, and with a full-blown possibility to configure Bosch cameras. That was the recording part. So now I would like to talk about something that brings everything together. The BVMS Viewer is the software you will be able to use to manage all your different recording solutions. Doesn't matter if it's an SD card, if it's a Divar IP all-in-one, if it's a huge VRM solution, or if it's a Divar Network or a Divar Hybrid. This is where it all comes together. This solution, BVMS Viewer, is part of the BVMS software suite. So you will be able to see more about that one in the webinar we're doing about BVMS. But it's a spin-off and it's a smaller part, so it's really usable for all these smaller installations as well. So I think it's a very nice way of getting your solution into one user interface for the customer. It will be part of the demonstration. So doing that, it's over to demo mode. I would like to have Jimmy starting to show a little bit about the user interface of BVMS Viewer, how it looks like with live and recordings. After that, we will go over to demonstrate the ANR features together with BVMS Viewer. And you will see for yourself how it looks like when we're disconnecting and we're connecting them back again to the network. But with that one, it's over to Jimmy and some views from BVMS Viewer.
So, this is the BVMS Viewer. Here I have added 2 cameras with local storage, and I've added a Divar network to the site and also a Divar IP 5000 all in one.
You can see it's live because I'm actually over here, so
Yes.
yeah, there's no faking about this one.
So the top 2 cameras is the local storage devices, and the camera 3 here is the camera from the Divar network 2000. And then we have a camera from our darkroom, which is the Divar IP 5000 all in one.
And for the user, you can actually group them together in different folders and different groups, and you can make a user interface that is really transparent. You don't even need to see that the cameras are belonging to a certain device. You can put them into your favorites. You can have a very simple way to do this when you're adding your cameras and bringing them into the user interface. So that's live. We also have recordings.
Yes, so then I switch to playback mode. And here we can see the cameras. We can see the recordings from each camera from the different sites at the same time. And now we can see some delay here from Anders.
Yeah, hopefully, otherwise it will not be real. Yeah, this is also a very nice way for you to get an overview and synchronize the replay of recordings, the playback, because you're synchronizing them on a timeline exactly when they were recording. And since we do it with TCP recording, iSCSI based, it's 100% aligned with the recording time that we have in the system. And that's also why we're strongly recommending you to use time servers if you have them in the system. So if we go back to the recording part, I would like to, or perhaps let's stay here. Sorry, Jimmy, go back to me again. I would just like to demonstrate what I'm going to do now. When we go back to your view, Jimmy, I would disconnect this uplink from this switch, and we will see some recording that stops in the timeline. So back again to your user interface, Jimmy. What I do now on this side, and perhaps you can see it here, I will be disconnecting the uplink. And in a few seconds, you will start to see that the timeline is not building up as it should be on 2 of the cameras. The other 2 are really continuing to record, but the 2 other ones, you will see they have stopped. This is the normal behavior when you don't have any recordings right now from those 2 cameras. What I will do now at the same time is that I will connect it back after a while. I will leave this one out now for, perhaps I should do the demonstration like this. I will leave this one out for a couple of seconds, perhaps a minute, because if you remember, I was talking about this TCP stuff that covers the small network glitches. It's depending on the camera, it can actually last for several minutes, depending on how much internal memory we have in the cameras, buffering it well. But the ANR part is really taking the bigger blocks when you need to do some of this replay for several weeks or months or whatever. Now it's time for me to put the cable back, and hopefully we will have some recording gaps that we will see will be replenished and fixed by the ANR feature. So what you can see right now is the small gap in the timeline where the direct iSCSI recording actually got a recording gap. That was when I pulled the network plug. What you don't see is any gap when it comes to the ANR camera, because that gap has been replenished by the SD card recording onto the centralized iSCSI device. So this might happen that you have and you can also see my arm doing this one right now. This might happen if you get the network interruption on the direct iSCSI. You see that you have the recording gap, but on the ANR camera, there is no recording gap. That's the feature that really can make your solution become even more redundant than just using the TCP recording. If you have been using a VRM in this stage, the Video Recorder Manager, you probably would have used a failover solution or perhaps a mirrored solution or something like that, and then you would not even have the ANR part doing this. So TCP implementation within Bosch iSCSI recording is handling 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds of gaps. A&R, 1 day, 2 day, perhaps weeks. VRM, Video Recording Manager, can be weeks and months, with also different types of solutions for the redundancy. That was pretty much the demo me and Jimmy had planned for today. A pretty short demo, but I hope it showed you, first of all, that you can use the BVMS Viewer for audio recording devices. You could also use it for looking at the recorded material from different devices if you just would like to use them. If you know how to use BVMS Viewer for the SD card, you also know how to use BVMS Viewer for the huge Video Recording Manager installations. You probably would like to use the complete BVMS portfolio in that case, and that will be a separate webinar. So if you thought this was interesting, if you would like to know more about the BVMS Viewer, the BVMS Lite, the Plus, Professional, and the Enterprise, please tune in to that webinar. Otherwise, I would like to say thank you to you who listened out today, and thank you to Jimmy who did the demonstration, and see you soon and stay safe. Bye from us.